This trade deal with India is not a win for the UK. It's actually taking the piss out of everyday normal British workers like you and I. Hey up everyone and welcome to Political Nerds. I'm Steph the Alter Nerd, your nerdy political guide from Washington DC to Westminster and beyond. In today's video we're going to discuss how the newly announced trade deal with India is actually bad for the UK and everyday normal British workers like you and I. Now do your own research, come to your own conclusions, and as a disclaimer, I am not inciting hatred to anyone or a particular group, religion, etc. So let's jump into it with this. Keir Starmer yesterday, all over his Twitter, was tweeting out, yay, we got a trade deal with India, blah, 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 blah. Here's one of his tweets right here. The trade deal with India will raise living standards, apparently, put more money in the pockets of British working people, apparently, and deepen the unique ties between our two nations. Now, I love community notes on Twitter because they've completely reassured Keir Starmer and exposed him for the absolute liar that he really is. Because here we've got the community note quoting Bloomberg.com saying that what Keir Starmer is talking about when it comes to this trade deal with India, it's only estimates as to what the impact will have on our GDP, gross domestic product. Therefore, the claim that it'll put more money in the pockets of British people is actually uncertain. Keir Starmer would love you to believe that this is definitely going to put more money in our pockets. There's no definitive proof that that's actually going to happen in the first place. What it is going to do, though, is actually going to put more money in the pockets of ordinary Indians from India rather than the British people. Why? Well, here we've got Sella Braverman, first and foremost, coming up and saying, look, as Home Secretary, I blocked the India trade deal because I was not willing to grant concessions on visas. It seems that you have caved and opened our labour market to more Indian workers who will be cheaper to hire than Brits. So it's not going to put more money in the pockets of everyday normal British workers like you and I, because if a company has a choice between hiring a British worker and hiring someone from India, right? Well, if it's cheaper for hiring someone from India than someone that's British from the UK, realistically, who do you think that company's going to freaking hire? They're going to hire the cheaper labour. Because then that's more money in the pockets of the company. Because let's be real here, companies are out to make money and save money where they can. Sella Braverman then says, this is not the way to cut migration or support British workers. Haven't you learned anything from the last few days? Yeah, from those council elections that Labour got absolutely freaking pummeled on. No shocker as to why, right, guys? And here's another reason why. Do not make deals with Indians. Do not make a deal with India. Because here, Alex Armstrong is turning around and saying Keir Starmer has just sold British people out in favour of Indians. The government has complete contempt for the British working class because Indians will not have to pay national insurance for 3 years. Here, quoting from an article saying, as part of the agreement, the UK and India will strike a double contribution convention under which Indian workers temporarily living in the UK will not have to pay national insurance contributions for 3 years. How about, right, Keir Starmer, if you can agree for foreigners to not make national contributions for 3 years, why don't you extend that same courtesy to us actual British workers? If he is so hell-bent on putting more money into everyday normal British workers' pockets like you and I, give us that exemption for 3 years of not having to pay national insurance contributions. Why, oh why is he giving that to foreigners? When he's so hell-bent, apparently, in putting more money in our pockets. Screw you, Keir Starmer, you lying piece of shiz. And just to give you even more context of what we're freaking dealing with here, right? Indians that come over, right, they don't have to pay national insurance contributions for 3 years. We do, though. We have to pay our national insurance contributions. And if anything, thanks to freaking Rachel from accounts, our tax liability is actually increasing this year. Firstly, the national insurance contribution is increasing to 15%. So for employers' national insurance contributions, that'll increase from approximately £182.90p per month to £249.95p per month, which is an annual rise of approximately £805 per month. So, yeah, increase the national insurance contributions for everyday normal British workers and companies, but give an exemption for 3 years for workers coming over from India. Make that freaking make sense. Oh, but it's not just national insurance contributions that Labour have attacked us on and increasing. Oh, no, no, no. Council tax has increased this year. In one area of the UK by freaking 10%. Now, I wouldn't mind if my council tax was increasing, so long as services that the council was providing were also increasing in line with that, you know, value for money and all that jazz. But no, council tax is increasing where councils are actually reducing their services to us. So we're having to pay more for a reduced service from our councils. Again, make that make sense in a climate where now, if you're Indian coming over from India, for the first 3 years, you don't have to pay any national insurance. Yeah. Are you guys angry yet? Because I'm freaking pissed off. Let me show you another example of Labour screwing us over, screwing us British people over, and putting foreigners first. Here, we've got the stamp duty land tax changes that have taken effect. And so from the 1st of April 2025, stamp duty bills are going to be increasing. Have already increased at this point, should I say. The threshold at which you start paying stamp duty now has been reduced from £250,000 to £125,000. So more and more of us now are having to pay stamp duty land tax. But again, don't worry if you're coming from India. Because if you're coming from India, the first 3 years, you don't have to pay any national insurance contributions whatsoever. You're Gucci, you're fine. Because the government will screw us over first before foreigners. Or, in other words, they'll put foreigners first and us freaking last. We're the ones paying into this. How does the government, how does Keir Starmer think this is the freaking best idea in the whole wide freaking world? Now, just to put it in a little bit more context, Reform UK obviously have spoken out against this deal. They do have some common sense over there. Two-tier Kia betrays British workers. I couldn't say it any better than myself. It's now 20% cheaper to hire Indians than British people. Cutting taxes for Indian workers and hiked them for British workers. Which is what I've just been explaining with all the tax hikes that have happened this year so far. And best believe, if you think that's the end of it for us, oh no. We've got over 4 more years of these evil whatsits from hell in government. They're going to be hiking more taxes for us. Best freaking believe. Yet reducing them or completely eradicating them for foreigners. But Reform UK have got a good point. It's now going to be 20% cheaper to hire Indians than British people because Indians don't have to pay national insurance. So again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier on. When you've got a company, right, that's got a choice between hiring an Indian from India or hiring a British worker, they're going to go with the Indian only because it's cheaper. And you can't blame the company for hiring the Indian in that respect because at the end of the day, the government has set up that climate where it's going to be obvious and cheaper and make more company business sense for them to hire the Indian rather than the British worker. And Keir Starmer has a cheek with a straight face to turn around and say that this deal is going to put more money in the pockets of everyday normal British workers like you and I. Keir Starmer, get freaking bent and take a reality pill, because he's living in cloud cuckoo land right now. And let's go with Darren Grimes here. Labour betrays Brits again. Indian workers in the UK won't have to pay national insurance for 3 years under the new deal. While you work, or should I say while we work, while we pay the tax, whilst we fund the system, foreign workers will get the exemptions. Oh, and by the way, whilst, these foreign workers from India are in the UK, if anything medically goes wrong with them, who do you think they're going to turn to whilst they're in the UK? They're going to turn to the NHS. Which, by the way, if they're not paying national insurance contributions for the first 3 years, they're not contributing to the NHS in any way, shape or form. They're literally going to get free medical health care from us as well, whilst the NHS is already on its freaking knees. Again, remind me, Keir Starmer, why is this a good deal again for the UK and the everyday normal British workers like you and I? Please, remind me. Because I'm totally missing it here. I really, really am. But we do have Rupert Lowe here taking a bit more of a pragmatic approach to it all, saying as part of the Indian trade deal, Indian workers living in the UK will not have to pay national insurance contributions for 3 years. I've written to the Chancellor asking for the rationale behind this bizarre and insulting decision. And best believe, I want to know what Rachel from Accounts is going to say to this, what her rationale is for this. Very interested to find out, aren't you guys? With that being said, if you appreciated this video and you want more, and believe me, of course, there's going to be more, you do not want to miss my next video, then make sure you subscribe to join our Alter Nerd tribe here at Political Nerds. Like, share, comment down below your opinion, conspiracy theories, whatevers. What do you think to this deal with India? Do you think it is a win for the UK or not? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I appreciate all your faces. And until the next time, you guys, laters.